Leslea Wahl, and I'm here to welcome you back to our Faith Through Fiction video blog. This month, we're discussing another struggle that teens often deal with, addiction. What is addiction? Well defined, addiction is the fact or condition of being addicted to a particular substance, thing, or activity. Addiction is a struggle that many people of all ages are dealing with. In fact, we are currently living in a time when the majority of humanity is addicted to something, whether it's food, drugs, gambling, pornography, texting, or social media. Addiction can consume a person to the point of destruction. And the sad fact is that we carry many of our modes of addiction with us daily through our phones. Addictions not only affect our lives, they affect the lives of those close to us. So what do we do when addiction takes over our world? To answer that question, I'm going to pass you on to fellow Catholic teen book author, Theresa Linden.
Thanks, Leslea. Yes, I'm here again hosting with you because it's TM Gaouette's turn to be our featured author. TM was born in Africa, brought up in London, and is now living on her small New England farm with her husband, 4 children, German Shepherd, chickens, goats, and horses. She is a member of the Catholic Writers Guild and CatholicTeenBooks.com. A former contributor for Project Inspired, Gaouette has been featured in The Parable magazine and Today's Catholic Teacher. Her pro-life novel, For Eden's Sake, received a first-place Catholic Press Association Award for Best Young Adult Novel, and it was endorsed by evangelist Elvita King. Her Faith and Kung Fu series also came in second, behind Father Mike Schmidt, for Best Known Religious Book Series. Dedicated to glorifying God through her stories for children and young adults, Gaouette believes that life is too short to waste on the superficial, and that adversity should be used to make one stronger. More importantly, Gaouette feels that the Lord has given us all special gifts and opportunities to make a positive influence. In addition to For Eden's Sake and the Faith and Kung Fu series, TM Gaouette is the author of The Destiny of Sunshine Ranch, Shadow Stalker, and she's a contributor to the Catholic Teen Books Visible and Invisible anthologies, Secrets, Gifts, Treasures, and Ashes. Here's TM.
Hey guys, TM Gaouette here, and this month I'm the featured author discussing the topic of addiction. Now, addiction comes in so many forms and at different levels, but as Leslea said, most people are addicted to something. We're usually addicted to things that provide euphoria or pleasure, whether it's to distract from struggles or stress or to avoid dealing with the responsibilities of daily life. So addictions are kind of like a break away from the real world. There are also things that you do that you can't live without. So they're usually enticing or enjoyable, and they offer an immediate gratification. But they're also extremely destructive. Now, we see this destruction especially in like drug addiction because it's so easy to recognize, right? A person physically deteriorates, their personality changes, they have mood swings, among many other things, and they're distracted by whatever it is they're addicted to. And distraction leads to further destruction because it allows us to be left vulnerable. In 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8, Paul states, "Be sober-minded and watchful, for your adversary the devil prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour." Addiction creates the perfect forum for the devil to enter your life, leading you away from the one thing that you should be focused on, God. Now, when we're addicted to something, we've become a slave to that thing. And now we feel like we cannot function without this vice, right? Take a hard, honest look at your behavior. Maybe you're not addicted to drugs or alcohol or pornography or any kind of vice that's easy to recognize, but there is something else that consumes your time without benefit. How about video games or texting or social media or shopping? These activities are obviously not sins, but when you spend hours doing them, they become addictions and they take you away from God. In the first book of my Faith in Kung Fu series, Freeing Tana Rose, we meet Tana Rose, a Hollywood starlet who is at the height of her career. But the high life, her secret insecurities, as well as her desire to remain on top, has led to many addictions. She's addicted to stardom and drugs, and her life is slowly spiraling out of control. And so her overbearing manager, who happens to be her mother, sends her to her old college friend Ruth's house in the country to sober up and get her head straight. And there Tana Rose meets Ruth's son Gabriel, who is very strong in his Christian faith. And inevitably they butt heads. Now, Tana Rose uses the drugs to help her get through her insecurities, but through her interactions with Gabriel, she's forced to face them. And Gabriel, who is not fazed by her stardom and is in fact disgusted by her behaviors, feels forced to help her, to pull her out of her addictions and focus on God. And this opportunity opens the door towards friendship. And as Gabriel continues to help Tana Rose, he also reminds her that she needs to find her strength in God because he may not always be there for her. Like Tana Rose, we all need help to overcome addictions. Sometimes if the addiction is so extreme that it's life-threatening, we need to seek professional help. But our help should also include trusted friends and family. We can share our struggles with them and ask them to help us. We need to surround ourselves with friends and family who we can talk to in moments of weakness. Everyone has a weakness. And maybe we can help each other. If our friend is struggling too, we can also talk to our priest or spiritual advisor. Also, getting involved in activities or hobbies that can distract us from our addiction is always a good idea too, especially if there's something we've always wanted to learn. And we also need to avoid occasions of our addiction. We're told as Christians to avoid the occasion of sin. Well, this is the same thing. We have to avoid the places and the people that encourage our addictions. And most importantly, we have to pray. God is our only hope. Pray for strength during these times of weakness and all the times in between. Pray for help from our guardian angel and Saint Maximilian Mary Kolbe, our patron saint of addiction. Mary, our blessed mother. Saint Joseph, her spouse and our earthly father. Our family extends way beyond our walls and we are so blessed. So take advantage of that. Addiction often begins by trying to fill a void in your life, or by trying to hide from something, or by numbing a pain. Once an addiction wraps itself around you, it's hard to escape, but it's not impossible. God is a merciful God, and he wants you to turn to him and find hope and strength in him. He loves you, and he wants you back. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13 reads, "No temptation has overtaken you that is not common to man. God is faithful, and he will not let you be tempted beyond your ability, but with the temptation he will also provide the way of escape, that you may be able to endure it." And so don't think also that God won't take you back because of the sins and temptations and addictions of your past. He can make you new again. Our loving God will always take us back. 1 John chapter 1 verse 9 reminds us, "If we confess our sins, he who is faithful and just will forgive us our sins and cleanse us from all unrighteousness." Thank you.
Thank you, TM. Leslea and I have a few other book suggestions that deal with addiction. My first recommendation is A Different Kind of Freedom by Corinna Turner. This short story takes place in a Jurassic future, and it includes a character who makes exceptionally bad decisions due to a gambling addiction. My second suggestion is Battle for His Soul, which is one of the novels for my West Brothers series. On a family vacation in Arizona, Jarrett will try anything to numb the pain of a recent breakup. He doesn't realize the danger he puts himself in when experimenting with recreational drugs, but his guardian angel does. Unfortunately, since Jarrett no longer listens to the voice of his angel can only watch as a demon begins to wind the chain of addiction around Jarrett's ankle. Also, in my dystopian Chasing Liberty trilogy, the all-controlling regimen government allows recreational drug use in video games to dumb down the people and make them easier to control. They don't want the people to do too much thinking or to pay attention to what the government is up to. So those are my suggestions. Leslea, what do you have lined up?
Thanks, Theresa. I've read all of those books and can verify that they are fantastic choices. I have a few suggestions of my own. First is Susan Peek's Soldier Surrenders, the conversion of St. Camillus de Lellis. This is the true story of St. Camillus, who was a soldier with many destructive addictions, such as gambling and drinking. So focused on pursuing his desires, his life spiraled out of control, and he nearly lost everything before he found his faith. My second suggestion is a book written by CatholicTeenBooks' newest member, Sarah Robsdottir. This book is titled Brave Water. It's a great book for teens and adults as well that primarily deals with the crisis of human trafficking and water scarcity, but it also touches on the topic of addiction in a very powerful way. And my third suggestion is my newest book. It's titled Charting the Course. As was mentioned earlier, when talking about addictions, we often think of alcohol or drugs, but there are many harmful behaviors that we can become addicted to as well. The main character in Charting the Course has turned to some destructive behaviors as she dealt with the divorce of her parents. When her selfish decisions nearly destroy another person's life, Liz realizes that the only way to completely turn from her bad decisions is to turn her life to God. As TM stated, addiction makes us a slave to something, and when we are enslaved, we're bound. And the devil loves to have us bound to sin, so he works hard to keep us addicted. He tempts us with our weaknesses. In the book of the Bible, James, chapter 1, verses 12 through 15, it reads, "Blessed is anyone who endures temptation. Such a one has stood the test and will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him. No one, when tempted, should say, 'I am being tempted by God,' for God cannot be tempted by evil, and he himself tempts no one. But one is tempted by one's own desire, being lured and enticed by it. Then when that desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin. And that sin, when it is fully grown, gives birth to death." Wow, think about that. One is tempted by one's own desire. So what is your desire? Is it a good desire or a sinful one? And even if it's good, are you doing it so much that it takes your attention away from important things, especially God? Unless our desire is God, it only distracts us from him. And this is why the devil wants us addicted to sin. So we are too busy to focus on God. We have to turn away from all those things that distract us from him. If we find ourselves spending hours doing something that we can no longer live without, then we need to take control of it or get rid of it. Of course, if it's a sin such as drugs, pornography, or gambling, then getting rid of it is the only option. Well, that's it. Thanks for joining us for this Faith Through Fiction. Until next time, check out more of our exciting, edifying titles on CatholicTeenBooks.com, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and sign up for our monthly newsletter. From me, Leslea Wahl, and fellow Catholic Teen Books author TM Gaouette, and this month's guest host, Theresa Linden. God bless.